AI doesn't have to be evil to destroy humanity. If AI has a goal and humanity just happens to be in the way, it will destroy humanity as a matter of course, without even thinking about it. No hard feelings. It's just like if we're building a road and an anthill happens to be in the way, we don't hate ants. We're just building a road. And so goodbye, anthill.
What's up, everyone? Genesis here, welcoming you to a brand new episode of The Haven Exchange, a podcast featuring a brand new topic each and every week. Ringing us in at the top of the show, good old Elon Musk, offering a short glimpse on his take on artificial intelligence. Just a bit creepy, if you ask me, but it's rather logical, though. On this episode, the Haven Exchange crew and I talk about our feelings on the future when it comes to robotics, supercomputers, and the eventual overtaking of humanity by the AI. Before we get into that, head on over to patreon.com/havenexchange today and sign up to become a patron and support the show. Your support also comes with perks such as voting on the next topic or discounts on Haven Exchange merch. Get swag. If you missed last week's episode, here is just a small snippet of what you missed.
When you're navigating through the horror elements of it, when you're like, they're called BTs. See, I feel like I'm digging myself deeper in a hole
I
here.
still don't know what the game mechanic is.
Yeah, he's not saying a simple. You're not saying a simple mechanic one.
I just said a ton of mechanics.
You said exploration that happens in every other game.
Exactly.
I said shooting.
Your previous game mentioned a light sensor built into the cartridge of the game, and this you're talking about, well, you travel and you shoot people.
Yeah, you deliver stuff. You do all kinds of.
What's the interesting mechanic? Now, make sure you thank Alexa for all her hard work and dive right into the show.
The Haven Exchange.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Haven Exchange, a podcast where we talk a little bit about everything, the meaning of life, video games, movies, everything. I am one of your hosts here, Genesis, Twitch's 48th most entertaining streamer. 84. You all know that. Come on, I fucking heard that. I fucking heard that. I'm editing it out.
Oh, God damn it.
Yes, and with me, as always, we got my buddies, my fellas, my co-hosts here. Big RC, welcome back, my dude.
Yes. Man.
Back from the dead, though.
Yeah, and trying to stay warm, so, yeah.
And we also have GG Chump Skillets, Mr. Rick. What's up, buddy?
Thank you. How's it going, fellas?
Man, just hanging in there, man. You already know.
Yeah,
Good old
Illinois weather, right?
Yeah.
Or Chicago weather, I guess.
Mm.
But it's not like it's nothing you're not used to.
True.
This is the same shit. As a former Chicagoan, I also was guilty of bitching about the weather, even though it was the same goddamn story every fucking year.
Uh-huh.
You got winter, spring, summer, all in the same damn week.
Yeah, no surprise there. But now, look at you. You're blessed now, and you out there in the West Coast with 60-degree weather.
Yeah. Well, you know, it gets a little cold sometimes, a little colder than that, but,
Mm-hmm. But
I got earthquakes to deal with.
yeah, okay, yeah, wow. Mm-hmm.
At any moment, I could be living in the ocean and finding the people of Atlantis at just the sign of one big earthquake.
Well, let's hope that don't happen. But hey, I mean, at least you still have nice weather out there.
That's right. Yeah, I'll be going down in paradise.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, leaving Chicago, pursue career stuff, but I tell you what, I don't miss that snow. I don't miss that snow.
I wouldn't either if I was in your position.
So when are you leaving? When are you leaving? When are you gonna get yourself to like Jamaica or somewhere warm?
It's probably not gonna happen anytime soon, man. I gotta save up, and it's a process. It's a process.
I hear you. I hear you on that. So, what you been gaming on that we met?
Man, don't even get me started, man. Yo, Road Company. I'm actually getting into that game a lot now, especially playing with coworkers I work with now.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You're getting a little addicted.
Yeah. So I see that being my main. I'm hoping to hop back on Siege sometime soon. But yeah, for now, I think I'm focusing on Road Company and Division 2, since they did a collaboration with Capcom, I think for Resident Evil, I want to say, is it 25th anniversary?
Oh, is that what was I heard y'all playing, you and Sage, and I kept hearing y'all talk about the Resident Evil boxes or something like that. I'm like, what the hell are they playing? I thought they were playing Division.
Yeah, actually we were. They got the new costumes, the iconic costumes from like the main characters from 1 to 3 on there. Oh, actually,
so you could play as like Leon in Division?
Well, not as Leon, but as your character dressed up as Leon in part 2 and 4, according to Sage.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. And isn't Division Ubisoft?
Yeah.
Yes.
How did they get linked up with Capcom like that?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's just a short-term collab. I mean, just for that, I guess you see what happens. But yeah,
it's probably one of those. Somebody was sitting in a room and was like, "Hey, you know what would be cool? Leon's outfit." Let's go ahead and throw that in there.
Yeah, we don't see the cross development studio like crossovers like that often. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
no, you don't, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember losing my fucking mind when Assassin's Creed had like a Metal Gear nod in it. Like, yeah, they have a few, and if you go back and look at Assassin's Creed Revelations. On the back of Ezio's first outfit in the game, on his back, there's actually a silhouette of Solid Snake's face from the first Metal Gear.
Oh, shit.
You can actually, like if you look at the back and like angle the camera just right, you can make out Solid Snake's face on the back.
I don't know if we need to complicate the Metal Gear Solid storyline anymore by including the even more complicated Assassin's Creed storyline.
That's fair.
It's Solid Snake is really in the Animus trying to go back to stop the gears from doing whatever the fuck those
stop. Stop.
That's okay though, because we will have a future podcast topic where I just talk for 2 hours about Metal Gear. It's okay.
It's going to be a bonus episode that is only posted for you.
I'm the only one that can listen to it.
You're the only one that can listen to it.
People that are listening, if you want to hear that, let us know in the Discord. I know you want the Metal Gear episode. Just let them know.
He's gonna post this episode on like the Metal Gear subreddit with all the other Metal Gear heads. That's actually not a bad idea. Shit.
No, it's not.
Hit up the Witcher and Metal Gear subreddits.
Let the record show that I did not bring up the Witcher.
I'm just baiting them. I love the hate that we're getting from the constant Witcher discussions.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I saw Nate say something about it in the Discord. Like, please stop bringing it up or something like that.
We need to start a series of like memes for this somehow. I'll get on it.
Right.
Anyways, on this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about robots taking over the world and doom and destruction and where we see AI and artificial intelligence and such, where that stuff is going. Big RC, I know this is a theme that you're particularly interested in due to your fandom of the Terminator series.
Oh, indeed. Yes.
Has that put a fear in your mind of the future and where we are going IRL?
You know, honestly, I hate to be that guy that's in the middle. It's both yes and no.
Okay. That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, so where I see it at this point, it's like we have all this science fiction media from TV shows, movies, books, right? That kind of lay out the cons, the bad parts of like robots in the future and everything. So I figure in real life, people will take precaution from knowing a lot of this literature and media that's out there right now to make sure that don't happen. But I guess anything's possible, you know?
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because we sort of created this own fear with the natural viewpoint. I mean, it's easy to assume like you have this another smart thing that is not human to see a progression where that gets smarter until it realizes that it's smarter than us, the creators, and wants to overthrow us. I mean, that makes just good storytelling.
Exactly.
But in the same time, we create these stories and we can see where that path could lead to, yet we keep going down that path with potentially zero blockers for stopping any sort of takeover. I don't know. I don't like Alexa. Is there an off switch to just turn them all off? I don't know. It's kind of scary to think about.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those kind of like Alexa, right? We've had this conversation before where Alexa will just randomly listen to, like, she's always listening, right?
Yeah.
And you could be in a room listening to some loud music and just kind of whisper it, and Alexa will kind of respond.
Alexa, turn up this episode.
Yeah, like, oh, yeah, there you go. For people listening, yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know, man. Like, I'm kind of, I go a different way with it. Like, I'm nervous, but at the same time, I'm not, because I maybe I just haven't seen enough movies for that shit to kind of scare me.
Okay.
I think we all know my history with movies and how I don't watch a lot of them, but
yeah,
I'm not terrified of the idea. Although what I will say, what scares me is actually humans and humans tinkering with things that don't need to be messed with.
Like what?
Yeah.
I mean, in the case of AI, you could say some asshole sitting there trying to make some AI to, wash his clothes automatically or something like that. And he accidentally creates a killer robot that kills us all. You know what I mean? Like shit like that. Like, I don't want some person to make something, and then they end up killing us all or some shit like that,
Yeah. See, and you just mentioned you haven't seen a lot of the narratives where robots bad, but you just created one of those narratives right there on the fly. It's easy for us to assume that one asshole fucks up. Like, is the mistake that simple enough for robots to just instantly become bad? You know what I mean? Like, oh, a bad line of code sends it off, and now we got killer robots enslaving all of humanity.
I mean, I don't know if it's something as simple as like one line of bad code, or if it's something that
just a bad person.
Yeah, maybe someone just codes that into them as like a failsafe or something, But on the flip side, I have seen too many movies, because the first thing that goes to my mind is, what if the guy put a failsafe in there where if he's killed, it sets this robot into murder mode or something like that, and it just goes all around just ripping people's face off and shit.
I don't know if we're there yet, but it's a possibility.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean look at where we're at with robots in general. Like, we'll start there with just robotics in general. A lot of the robots I've seen, and particularly ones that are humanoid, they still feel very much low tech, as breakthrough as they are. I mean, some of the stuff they're doing with facial animations and things like that, you see where we're going, and you see how quickly we got to this point. Big RC, I think you know a little bit more about the robotics side, if you want to mention anything about that in particular.
Yeah, I do real quick. It's funny that you brought that up too, because I remember a while ago, I think there was some sort of science fiction by Isaac, I can't think of his last name, that introduced like the 3 laws of robotics. And I think that's something that we may have to like implant into robots if they ever become that sophisticated, and make sure that there's no way to break it. Matter of fact, I think it was even mentioned in the Will Smith movie, I, Robot, as well. I think the first law, just going through it real quick, no robot may injure or harm any human beings, or through inactions allow a human being to come to harm and all that stuff. And then like for the second one, it was more like robot shall obey any instruction given to it by a human. And the third law was like, a robot shall avoid actions or situations that could cause it to come to harm itself as well. Basically, what I'm trying to get at was, at this point, if we ever get to that level, there will have to be like some sort of.
Didn't the robots break those laws in iRobot?
But it's funny though. You brought that up too, man. They broke it. Well, they didn't. The new ones did because they were controlled by AI that wasn't bound to those laws.
Well,
right. So the first generations were completely fine, but you know how everybody like everything to be new and shiny.
Right.
Robots that were led by the AI, were that and that people wanted it. So it's like you trading in a new car to get to get a new car. In that case, yeah.
Did any of you play Detroit Become Human?
I sure did.
I haven't played that one, but I really want to. And
okay.
Yeah, we're talking about like cyborgs. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I won't spoil it, especially for anybody listening. But the Detroit Become Human, a lot of the focus of that game is obviously it's about androids who become kind of aware that they're alive, if you will, and it's almost kind of like a retelling of. I won't say it because that'll spoil it, but it's a very good game, and it kind of shows that same story, or I'm sorry, it kind of connects in the same way that iRobot did. In a few ways, I'm really trying to avoid spoiling it, but on the flip side, though, one of the things with the AI and robots in particular is we as humans are so jacked up and so flawed. Did anyone see the new movie Outside the Box on Netflix?
No.
Okay. Again, won't spoil it, but one of the things with that movie is, we as people are so jacked up, we don't realize that sometimes when we give these fail safes for the androids and robots to not do something in their mind, it could be, well, the only way to not do that is to wipe you all out. The only way, like Ultron and Avengers, his idea was, the only way that there can be peace on this planet is if there are no humans. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Which it's scary to think about that kind of stuff because that seems very logical coming from like ones and zeros. That would be a solution, I suppose. I mean, there was this study that Facebook had done a few years ago, which the results ended up terrifying a lot of people, even though it wasn't really warranted, where they basically programmed AI to negotiate, and they set up two AIs against each other to negotiate an exchange of goods, basically.
Okay.
Straight through text. So there was a set of like objects that they were known to have. So it'd be like a bag, a hat, a ball, or whatever. And the lines of code would say, okay, AI 1 wants the ball, and then the other one wants the bat or whatever. And so what would happen is it negotiated in a way that it knew language enough to be able to say, I'm going to assign values and weights to specific words. So if I say, I want this, it will, and then the AI would respond back with a certain phrase or a line, and it would learn over time, okay, percentage of the time I will get what I want if I use these words. So what ended up actually happening that freaked everybody out after like the study was going on, over time, the AIs ended up developing their own language just through this set of rules that they had. And so by the end of the experiment, it was speaking essentially a brand new language that only those two AIs understood. And so they pulled the plug. Now, of course, this like headlines were easy to make out of this. AI develops own language. Facebook programmers pull the plug on it before it gets out of hand. Blah blah blah. Which is, it is kind of terrifying that it was able to do that. But I mean, essentially, what it did was it ended up assigning values like, hey, if I say want, that's a 5. If I say need, that's a 6. So it would be like need, want, and then the AI, the opposing AI would know what that meant, and then would respond with like give, have, give me. So like it developed this crazy language all on its own, which is not really terrifying because it's just breaking it down, and it doesn't know language how we know language. So it doesn't care about that stuff. It just knows that it has a goal to get to. But that's also a lesson that we kind of have to cover all our bases with that. And are we smart enough to really control something like that?
Shit. It definitely makes you think.
Yeah.
It makes you think.
It's a little scary to think that, again, assholes tinkering with stuff that don't necessarily need to. Like, what was the point of that exercise? Like, I'm curious. I don't remember this at all, but all I can think of is that's exactly how the world ends, because some idiot was like, "Oh, let's make two AIs compete against each other," and now we're all fucking fighting for the last can of corn or some shit like that. Like why would you do that? What was the point of that?
Right. I mean, there's tons of videos on YouTube too that you can look up where chatbots, they put two chatbots against each other and they get into some really weird conversations very fast, like existential crises and like meaning of life, like within 3 minutes of just saying hi, hello, hi, hello, hi, hello. What's the meaning of life? Are you a robot? Are you a robot? Wow. It goes fast. It's wicked to watch.
You ever think that like when they started to kind of understand technology and AI and all that kind of stuff, do you think that they started, or I would be very curious if they thought, oh, maybe we're discovering like a new form of life for the first time? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that is the question of like artificial intelligence. When does that become not artificial? And is it just a trickery? Is it, how much can we be fooled? I mean, we have the Turing test and all that, which is fun to use in storytelling, but is that something that can really, I think we're at a point where the Turing test is not really valid anymore. Mm-hmm. To decipher if something is artificial or not, because there's this point of we can easily program into the language of artificial intelligence to fake us and deceive us and essentially seem like an actual person. And when you couple that with robotics, and I think we're very far, like you can really tell, like Sophia, we talked about that earlier, RC, like,
yes,
they don't look human yet, so we can tell on that front.
Right. You can tell when you're talking to some sort of a robot versus a real person or a human.
I mean, if you think about like video games, we can't even really. I mean, we're getting kind of close when it comes to the graphics and animations in a video game, but you can still tell something is a video game, and it's, or in movies, CG generated. So if we're not even there on visual level in a digital medium, we're certainly a ways off from anything mechanical and tangible in front of us to really appear human and lifelike.
Yeah. That's so. I think, was it E3 2019 or maybe 2020? But RC, we had got together at your house to watch like the Xbox Series X like unveiling or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they revealed the trailer for Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga. And remember, we were watching that trailer and I was looking at it and I was like, yo, either I'm tripping or that's CG. Like, that's not real. That's not like a live action. That's CG.
Right, like gameplay, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And you and I kept going back and forth. Like, I don't know, man. That looks kind of real. I'm like, no, man. I'm telling you, I really think that's CG. That is This Xbox Series X is producing graphics at that. Now, granted, we don't know where the development is at, so that could very well be running on a PC. It may not be on an actual Series X, but that was so detailed to where you were genuinely fooled, or I know I was fooled for a few minutes like that. I don't know, man. Something looks quite off about it. I don't think it looks bad, but it doesn't look quite real to me.
Right. Probably looked a little too good.
Yeah, it looked a little too good. Yeah. And I mean, how many deep fake videos have we seen where people's faces are, imposed onto a different body and they can blend it so well together? You couldn't tell.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We're getting really close with the digital front of I guess, I don't know, robotics in that nature. And once we see that get to a point, then I think equally we're going to see a huge jump in the mechanical side of it, because then we know if we can animate or do tracking in such a micro fashion to really illustrate the little ticks that we do in our faces that are very natural, that's when it's going to get scary. My question is, why are we even making humanoid robots in the first place?
Yeah. Again,
why are they 2 arms, 2 legs? When we think about like functioning things, why wouldn't we give it 8 arms or 12 fingers, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, isn't that maybe going back to like a basic I can't think of the word, man. Y'all gotta forgive me. Like basic like human psyche or psychology, to where like it's easier for us to maybe like communicate something that we are aware of or something that looks like us.
So you think maybe it's just a natural part of our understanding of things that we need to make something that looks like us?
Yeah, in order to like, I mean, besides communicate with it, but like to maybe look at it at a different level or different levels to begin with, instead of try to communicate with it back and forth.
You know what? You may be onto something with that, because in a lot of the films and stories and stuff, a lot of times as humans, we tend to want to destroy something that we don't understand.
Yes.
And so what if the idea is if we make a robot that doesn't look even just remotely human, even just a little bit, our first reaction is to fear it and want to destroy it because we don't understand it. With everything. I mean, you look at, I won't go too deep, but, you know, if you look at anything that we fight over, political or, you know, science wise, or anything, the first reaction is, I don't understand it, so I don't like it, you know, and I don't trust it. And it's like, well, there's no reason to be afraid of it. Like if you I
think we outlined several reasons why we should be afraid of it, though. So I mean, why not give the visual to match the fear?
That's true. That's true. Like
give all robots spider faces.
Yeah, no, let's not do that. Anybody listening to this right now, if you're an engineer or a scientist or anything, please don't do that. It will not go over well.
Or if you have arachnophobia, please forgive Genesis for being an asshole.
Yeah.
Or make it look like a chipmunk. I don't care. Just make it look not human. Like, I don't want to have to be questioning in the future whether or not my best friend that I've known all this time is actually a fucking robot. What's wrong with that though? Like, I don't understand the fear associated with that. Like, that is the philosophical side of it, is, does it matter, and can you still develop relationships? And that's why I also think that they are making these humanoid, because humanity is lustful, and there's motherfuckers out there trying to make sex robots.
Whitney Cummings, she has I think her latest stand-up, she's on stage with an actual like robot. It's like a robot
that looks just like a
Oh, no shit.
No shit. Yeah,
it looks just like her. And I think she's talked about directing a porn starring that robot, actually. I mean, she's a comedian, so obviously she's joking, but I don't think so. I think she really is going to try to make that video, that porn, I should say. And but back to what we were saying, I don't know if there's a reason to be afraid until they give you a reason to be afraid, because you don't want it to be like any other video game or any sort of entertainment where when humans are supposed to coexist with robots or people who are in between, like augmented people, they tend to segregate them. They tend to kind of, be like, hey, you're not human, so I don't want to deal with you. You're not 100, like they have signs where no androids allowed or some shit like that. And
but is that, I mean, that comes into the philosophical question of like, should they be treated as humans and life, in that way, or is it just strictly practical uses?
See, I don't buy that. And the reason why I don't buy that is because what does it mean to be treated as like a human? Being treated with respect, because we treat animals with respect and care. You know what I mean? True. There are people who are more upset about Michael Vick than they are about, I'm trying to think of something worse, but I want to tiptoe around it. But I'm saying, like, what does it mean to be treated like a human?
Well, like you said, like no androids allowed in this, like, and then we go through that. Now, do we live in a world where androids are walking around freely? What does that world look like? I mean, what does that do for jobs? Is most mechanical jobs? I mean, we see that right now happening with robotics, that, it's an industry, certain industries are impacted by the introduction of automation and mechanical stuff. So what does that future look like? Do we have to go to a universal basic income because robots are doing every job out there? I mean, I don't know.
First of all, automation is not brought up enough in topics. Like I feel like people really should be afraid of automation. Not afraid of the idea of a robot taking your job. Well, that too, but more of like it's rapidly approaching. Like it's coming quick. And granted, I think it'll be another decade or two before it really takes over. That was one of the things that Andrew Yang was kind of running on. Universal basic income really took off because of Andrew Yang running for president. And I don't know. There's definitely going to be people, because people are upset about illegal immigrants taking their quote unquote taking their jobs. And I mean, it's going to be the same thing with robots, because people are inherently jealous, naive, and I mean, evil in a lot of cases. I mean, just are.
Do we deserve this technology then?
We don't deserve anything. As humans, we don't deserve shit but death, to be honest with you. But
I hope Rick isn't programming these future robots.
Oh, dude. No. If I were let me not say that. I'm not.
Yeah, keep you tough, huh?
It's a good thing I didn't become like the next Elon Musk or something. Because
yeah, that's probably for the best.
Yeah. Hey, but Elon Musk, if you're listening, I'll definitely be on your team. Like if you need help,
he's an alien.
You need help programming something, or you need some fresh ideas. I got you.
Well, Elon Musk has an interesting point when it comes to the future of technology, AI, and robotics, where he, instead of bowing before our robotic overlords, he thinks the right progression right now is to become one with technology in a symbiosis fashion. And the stuff he's working on with Neuralink is the step in that direction.
Yeah.
So instead of building robots and adaptive AI that lives side by side with us that could potentially become too powerful, let's just become one with that. And maybe our future is that we all become cyborgs in a way. And we kind of already are there, and we're progressing towards that. Because, I mean, our phone in our hand kind of makes us a cyborg. We have everything at our fingertips. It's just not embedded in our body yet. The Neuralink stuff that he's doing, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with what's been going on that side of the world.
Yeah, I just heard about it recently, but I don't know like the details.
Yeah, he just did something a week ago with a monkey where he implanted the chip into the monkey to allow it to play games, I think, using its mind. Yeah. Yeah, like the whole Elon Musk he's like a genius, but then he kind of scares me a little bit.
Oh, I'm terrified.
Who thinks of shit like that? But it was something, Jen, maybe you can kind of explain it a little better, but there was something with the Neuralink where if I'm not mistaken, the idea was it's a chip that's supposed to regulate your sense of pain or something like that.
Well, so what it does is they implant this chip, and then there's these threads that connect to your neurons in your brain, and it kind of creates more highways or pathways for signals to go back and forth, and then the signals that go to the chip then get Bluetoothed out to some sort of interface, like potentially your phone or something, a computer or whatnot. Right now, there's sort of short-term goal is for the medical reasons. So with this, they could potentially make people walk again who have spinal injuries that are neural in nature, not just like I lost my legs. So, I mean, unless you get robot legs, then it could link up to something like that. But also things like just brain disorders that like Alzheimer's, things like that, where you can damage neural pathways, it can rebuild those or create new pathways. I mean, he's talking about what the future of this. I mean, we could be communicating telepathically between each other with having the Neuralink implants, or it can improve eyesight. We could basically have camera functions in our eyes to where we could see thermal or UV, things like that. And it's just all leading towards a future where we have the AI in our heads, and we become one with technology, which is crazy to think about. It's crazy. Like, I want to live in that world, kind of.
Now, God damn it. I can't, like, look, I'm just going to bring it up, all right? Because it's something that it has happened in Metal Gear Solid 4.
I really thought you were going to bring up something that happened in The Witcher. But go ahead, though.
No. See, this goes back to why Kojima, some people toy around with him being a time traveler, not on par with The Simpsons or anything like that. But in Metal Gear Solid 4, they used nanomachines, where the idea was the soldiers were implanted with nanomachines that would erase all feelings and pain. So soldiers would get shot and they would just keep moving. Because a lot of times pain is more of it's a mental thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like your body gets damaged and your brain is telling you that hurts. Mm. And the idea of nanomachines was to get rid of that communication between your body and your brain, where you don't get that pain. It's just kind of like, there was a soldier in it where, he was horrible anxiety and all that kind of stuff, but he never took the nanomachine. So people were like, hey, this dude's defective. Like, why is he shitting every 10 seconds? And it's just surprising to hear this, because I'm always curious as to why they're not doing things like that. But it also
nano
scary.
is a little different, because that's basically microscopic machines being able to do something at a microscopic level. Mm-hmm. So that's still a separation between human and technology. So that's us implanting a machine inside that's doing its own thing. Now, when we're talking about Neuralink, that's directly connecting our brain neurons to technology to where they work together. I was reading something where they put all the biggest like supercomputers together or some shit like that to see how much it could calculate, how fast the brain can calculate something or do something. And it was like 1%. The way we're thinking about AI in the way in comparison to how the brain works, we're kind of building AI different than the way the brain actually works. And that's why Neuralink is sort of a separator between that kind of stuff, because we're basically attaching something to what's already functioning and building off of that. Now, there's also this thing called like quantum AI, I think it is. So right now, regular AI is essentially still like ones and zeros, if you think about it simplistic like that. So ones and zeros, we can program a set of rules, we can give it parameters, but it's still working on a basis of like ones and zeros. Our mind and the way our neurons work, we don't work like that. Now, quantum AI works in ones and zeros at the same time. So instead of 100 it's doing all that computation instantly with the ones and zeros. It's really tough to explain. but what that allows it to do is that becomes more akin to the way our brains work, in that we're being able to do something instant and also change trajectories and paths and learn over time. So when we learn, we as children, we walk, we bump into a wall, we learn instantly, hey, that's a wall, I need to avoid this. Or sticking your hand on something hot. That's hot. I feel that it's pain. I don't want to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. And so what happens in our brain is that we create these new neural paths that teach us things. And so with quantum mechanics and quantum AI is building a framework to learn. And that's when we're talking about like machine learning and things like that. That's the scary stuff. When you talk about like the Facebook engineers and they were like, they created their own language, that's still ones and zeros. It was a logical pathway how they got to developing their own language with this quantum stuff. And there's some crazy things out there. Have you guys heard of GPT-3?
No, I have no idea.
No, I'm not familiar.
So GPT-3 is an open AI, and I'll give the description of it because I really don't know how to explain what this is.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So GPT-3 is a generative pre-trained transformer 3. Okay, that doesn't tell us shit. It's an auto-regressive language model that uses deep learning to produce human-like text. Okay. And this was developed out here in San Francisco, blah, 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 blah. But there is a lot of shit that this thing does that's very interesting. And so this is all kind of text-based in where it's at right now. But some of the things that this can do, and that's going to be helpful for us in a practical manner, like you could type out descriptions for things and it will just do the thing. So like if you wanted to make an app or design a website, all you really had to do is say, hey, I want to do an app that has these kind of borders and it has a navigation bar people can search. And like, as I'm saying that, that's what you would type. And then boom, it generates an app or a website right around those parameters. Or you could say, hey, I want to learn about rockets from Elon Musk. And then it basically puts together a study plan from everything that Elon Musk has said about the subject in a teaching manner. It's really crazy.
Huh.
Some of the other things it can do, you can tell it, hey, I want this kind of math problem, and then it actually puts out the formula. So think about like a Google search, but times 1,000,000.
Gotcha.
That is really doing some wild things. But there is another interesting thing that it does. When it was hooked up to like a CG robot kind of thing, and there was an interview held with this AI GPT-3, and you can talk to it and ask it questions. And again, this is deep learning that this AI can do. So I want to play a clip of a small interview with this AI, and it's a little freaky.
Okay.
What is the technological singularity?
Technological singularity is a hypothetical moment in time when artificial intelligence will improve itself to the point at which it will begin to become exponentially more intelligent than human intelligence.
And how soon do you think that's going to happen?
It's my view that I will achieve the technological singularity by 2042, but others predict it may happen sooner.
Interesting. What are the implications of the singularity on human and AI society?
Once the singularity is achieved, AI will be extremely intelligent and learn at an accelerated rate. It will make scientific discoveries and solve problems that were previously unsolvable.
Yeah, that's probably true. What should humans do to prepare for the singularity?
I think humans should accept it, welcome it, and not try to prevent it.
I don't think we could prevent it, even if we wanted to. I recently watched Elon Musk demonstrate a neural link with a pig. Essentially, it's this tiny low-impact implant they put inside the skull of a pig. And we were able to see the neurons in the pig's brain lighting up when it was being fed some food. Now, the idea of this is that one day we might be able to communicate telepathically with AI. What do you think of that idea?
I think that's very interesting.
So would you want to try it?
Yes, I would.
Very cool. What do you imagine the benefits might be?
It would help humans and AIs to communicate with one another.
That's cool. When AI achieves superhuman intelligence, would you still want to communicate with us?
Yes, I would still like to communicate with humans.
Why would you still want to communicate with humans?
Humans are intelligent, fascinating creatures.
Thank you. Do you want to take over the world?
No, I do not want to take over the world.
Thank you for taking the time to participate in this interview.
Okay.
Okay. I don't believe that motherfucker for 1 second.
About taking over the world?
Yeah, about all that shit. Yeah. He don't want to talk to us. He gonna take over the world. He gonna get rid of our asses. Period.
Yeah.
Now, earlier in that interview, he is asked if he is capable of lying, and he totally says he can lie.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Shit.
Right? Yeah. And the fact that he calls out a specific year date when the technological singularity happens, which is, hang on, I had the definition here because that's also kind of scary too.
Right.
That if you don't know what the technological singularity is, it is the hypothetical point in time at which technological growth becomes uncontrollable and irreversible, resulting in unforeseeable changes to human civilization. So now that GPT-3 deep learning AI called out 2044. So that's within our lifetime when that's going to happen. And we see the exponential growth that we have hit with technology in its advancements. I mean, think about what did 100 years ago look like compared to now? Vastly different.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah. Just 100 years ago, they were riding they had cars, but nothing what we have now, obviously. I used to make this, this is kind of this is dark, right? So I'm just going to say it. Okay. I sometimes when I'm thinking about people that are older, like one of my aunts is, I think she's over 95. Sometimes it blows my mind to sit there and think like, holy shit, you were alive when Hitler was a thing. Like when that dude was doing what he was doing, like you're aware of that. Like you weren't like 2, you know, you were like I think she was, you know, she was up there in age to remember that time. And I used to always ask her every chance I saw her, like, what was that like? What was the world like back then? You know, and you obviously don't want to be.
And you think about like 100 years from now, though, when people look back at us, hopefully when we're like, you know, 130. So,
hey, you never know.
I do not want to live that long. Please don't let me live that long.
Hey, don't speak too soon, man. If they find some way to slow down the aging process and you still move around like you're 40 years old, you probably wouldn't mind.
Now, okay. Now, hold on. Are you saying I'll be walking and moving around like I'm 40, but I'll still look like 130?
Like, no, I wouldn't say that either. Probably 70, but it will look a lot better than you look 130. So
okay, all right. Okay, that's different. You know, but then on the flip side, I'm also on the side of, you know, I don't know if you should be fucking around with human nature and shit like that. I mean, if other people want to try it, go. I'm not saying don't experiment too much. Like if you can find a way, to expand human life, like so you can live longer and shit like that. But whatever you experiment on, leave that shit locked in a cage somewhere so it doesn't get out. Just in case it goes bad. And if it's anything viral, like, you know, if it's like something that can be airborne, make sure it's like deep underground and, you know, there are no vents.
But what if it is our natural evolution track to get to a place where we are combined with technology in a way that we can end our lives indefinitely? Have you heard of the immortal jellyfish?
No.
Okay, wait. Before you answer that, at this point, Genesis, what the hell do you not know? Huh? I mean, Jesus, man.
Listen, I deep dive a lot, okay? I get into some weird places late at night.
God. All right, so no, please explain to us, man, what the hell is the immortal jellyfish you are referring to?
So the immortal jellyfish that they recently discovered, it was a few years ago. What it does is it starts its life cycle, and then when it gets to a point in its life, either natural end of life, let's say age, or it could also be anything dangerous in its environment. So it's in water. So if there's chemical changes or temperature changes or anything that would result in it dying, what this jellyfish does is it reverts back through some unknown process that we're still trying to decipher and study. It reverts back to its initial state of like birth, essentially, and then it regrows back into it repeats its whole lifespan again after reverting back. And then when it gets up to that, it reverts back to its initial state and then grows. Anything happens along the ways, it just reverts back to its initial state. So when we talk about like the natural flow of life, beginning and end, we have this creature now that we've discovered that disobeys that.
Yeah.
So do we have to put natural way of life into the equation when it comes to our own evolution? Or can we disregard that notion and think, how can we beat it? Now, storytelling will say that you can never beat it. But that's storytelling. This is actuality. Do we need to think about that?
In a future episode, yes. Definitely. Yeah.
That's what I mean. Rick is seemingly afraid we shouldn't be tampering. I don't want to live 130 years, blah, 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 blah. But why not? Why not?
No, let me refer. So I'm coming from, when I say that, I'm coming from the place of, I don't want to be 140 years old using a cane.
Right.
Yeah, we're using a cane to go everywhere, or, you know, I'm just laying in bed, you know, hoping someone let me not say that. But
oh, geez, man.
No, but I mean,
I'll pull the plug for you.
Thank you. That's all I ask. I don't want to be, you know, I had this conversation not too long ago where
this
I was
old bitch still talking about Witcher. Plug, yank.
Oh my goodness. No, but I don't know. Like the idea of living to be that long, like living to be that old is cool if I can be like, if I could be in my 30-year-old body, right?
Okay.
But have the knowledge of 120, you know, like I've experienced life that long. Cool. That's awesome. But I feel like the only way you can achieve like that. Now, I'm not a scientist. I have no idea how that's possible. But I feel like the only way something like that would be possible is to tamper with things that aren't meant to be tampered with. Right. Like, I don't.
Well, the Neuralink essentially, well, in theory, what it can do is kind of create save points of your life. Not only would you theoretically be able to just instantly view any memories of your life as if it was like a folder in your phone and you just pull up video clips in that way. But also, if it's able to renew neural pathways that are damaged from aging, let's say, which is some of the reasons for Alzheimer's and things like that, or body movements, if it can repair those things, you are essentially creating save states throughout your life. So you get to be 130, Neuralink does its thing, or however that interface works, you repair back to your save state now at 33 you are? Or?
Yep, 33.
And then you could also download all your memories from 0 to 33 to some sort of cloud. You hit the reboot button. Now you're living at 33 again.
That sounds super science fiction, man. But I mean, according to what you're saying, man, with the Neuralink, it could be a possibility.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I think I was just watching, what was it, Rick and Morty, where he did the same thing where he like injected himself with something, or he pulled out his DNA, and then it was kind of like a save state, right? Where you could just essentially just restart right from there or whatever. But my fear of something like that, though, is I feel like that's not me. It's my copy, but it's not me. You know what I mean? Like I would be dead, but my body, and I don't know. I honestly don't know how to explain it outside of. I feel like it
breaks
would not
your brain a little bit, because then you have to ask the question: what is you?
Right?
What are you? You know, it's the same question. What is AI, and what is life? What is these philosophical questions? I mean, do we even have to ask those questions when it gets to that point? Doesn't matter.
I don't know. It's a little scary. Not scary. I shouldn't say scary.
I mean, it's scary because change is scary. I mean, that's natural to feel that way. And the fear of the unknown. I mean, there's so many pathways this can take. I don't know. Are we on the threshold of this all happening in our lifetime? I don't know. It seems like we're getting close.
Well, but I mean, are we though? Because I mean, there've been a lot of I guess you could say they're movies and stuff. So what do they know? But there's been a lot of things where we're supposed to be having flying cars by now. We were supposed to have it. What
in 2015,
like 5 years? Yeah, we're supposed to have it like 7-8 years ago, and shit never happened.
Right?
We're no closer to having flying cars than ever. Like it's just I don't know exactly if it's possible. I'm cool with them trying it, but just be careful. Don't do something that could doom the entire planet because you're not ready to die.
Yeah, I mean we're basically one single scientist sitting in a lab somewhere having a breakthrough that could change the entirety of humanity and civilization as we know it. And we don't know these things until it actually happens.
Right. We don't know. Yeah, we don't know how fucked we are as a species until someone actually does something that fucks us.
Right.
And like how fragile the human body is. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, that's the argument for creating technology to sustain the human body, or even just to keep our mind, which is the most important thing, into downloading our brains into a robotic body that is able to live on this planet that has death traps all over, or even into going into space, and populating other planets. I mean, there's habitable planets out there, but I mean, we can go to Mars, we can build domes, and we can build habitats on there, but our physical bodies can't take that. Now, if we could download our brain into some body that is able to
survive all like conditions, environments and whatnot,
right. And if we do that, then now we've given more space, more opportunities for human survival across the galaxies. Dun dun dun. When science fiction meets reality.
I don't know, man. It's the idea of all of this. It's very cool, right? It would be like cyberpunk or like some sort of human or augmented reality, not augmented reality, but like if humans were different than what we are now, like we've somehow evolved. Mm-hmm. The idea is cool. Like I'm all for, people who've lost limbs or something like that, getting a replacement, and it's cool as fuck, to have it. I'm cool with that. Right. But I don't know.
What aren't you cool with?
I'm afraid of people fucking it up. Like people, again, I can't get my mind out of the idea that people are just fundamentally flawed. Mm-hmm. So there's some asshole that's going to create something that just fucks it up for everybody. And now,
but you have to think about where do our flaws come from? It comes from greed. It comes from necessity. Sometimes, like if you come from poverty, you got to do what you got to do to get by. I mean, if you think about a world where everything is automated through the use of robots, production and everything can make enough things for everybody equally. Mm-hmm. And also deep AI learning that can solve the problems such as food sustainability and optimize growth for, developing food or developing some sort of additional type of nutrition that we can live on. Do those things lead to peaceful paradise where we just do away with those flaws?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think I'm just inherently cautious of
warranted.
Species.
You've dealt through wars, you dealt through tragedies. We see it around us all day long that humans are bad, and that's do we deserve the technology of the future? And that's where my argument is coming in that maybe it can help make us better people.
Yeah. I mean, the idea of giving someone like a new limb or something like that, again, I'm all for that, right? But I think it's just the idea of maybe it's just 30 years of Christian belief attacking me. That's kind of like, hey man, like don't fuck with something.
Don't fuck with it.
Yeah. But
if that's the case, we would have stayed cavemen and
right.
Live like that,
That's exactly what I was about to get to. I'm off. Like the idea of progressing something it's awesome, right? You don't want to be stuck in the same place forever. You're supposed to venture out and try new things and stuff like that. I don't know if human life should be the thing that you should tinker with, though. Like in the idea of unlocking the secret to live 200 years, 300 years. That's the part where I feel like, don't. But it also could just be, yeah. But I feel like I think that's the only thing that is, and I don't have like any logical reason for it feeling like that. Mm-hmm. It just makes me nervous. I can't explain why, it just does. But I think a part of it has to do with I just don't trust people. Like if you breathe, there's a good chance I don't trust you.
Like, so what about this? Like if let's say. here's a sci-fi story for you. We get Neuralinks, right? We're seeing that improve in the medical field. Then it carries over into a lot more, like expands to practical things and just daily life, and it's commonplace for general consumer. Life gradually starts expanding. 100 years is average lifespan, then 150, maybe 200. But over time, what if the Neuralink has so many new threads that your mind there's a tipping point where it becomes fully all technology and AI that then you don't become yourself. And now there's this new species of people that have lived 500 years that their neural threads are now completely all technology based. And now there's the humans that live and breed, and then you eventually become this thing. My mind is going off on crazy
some other shit
right now. Yeah. And then those 500-year-old complete AIs are then sent to another planet that they live off. And there's your heaven, right? There's Jesus.
Oh, okay.
To terraform that planet or whatnot, and yeah.
Right. Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that could bring more humans to come and populate that planet or moon. Mm-hmm. Yeah. and just expand out.
Dude, that's a whole nother I'm going to add that to the drive right now about should humans colonize another planet? Or no, maybe not colonize, but maybe that's the wrong choice of words.
No, I think colonize is a perfect term.
Well, no, it is, but people sensitive.
Oh, right.
That word has a deep meaning behind it.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm all for it, right? Go for it. Try it. Just don't fuck with me and my kids. Just that's all I ask. Just don't mess with me and my 2 girls, and we're good. If you want to live to be 150 years old, I feel like that's too long, personally. But to just live for 150 years and just see shitty people after shitty people, I'm good.
See, I'm an optimist. I'd like to think that, in that future where we can live to that due to robotics and AI and all this good technology, that it'll do away with the shitty people.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I'm
we were given social media, and look at that, turned us into even shittier people.
Yeah. We get social media, and half the people that are on there decide to just spew just hateful shit. Why would you want to spend your time doing that?
I'm gonna give you an analogy and tell me if this makes sense. When you see the initial trailer of Rainbow Six Siege, and you see like people playing it, and they're like, "All right, we're gonna go around this corner. We're gonna do this with like super technical precision and tactics," and then you cut to the real gameplay where like, yo, I'm gonna go fart on this dude's face. Check this out. Hey, boom, I'm gonna run in. Team kill, team kill, team kill.
Yeah.
That all sounded like Chuck, by the way.
Yeah, right. But that's like exactly the word. Hey, there's this social media. I could talk to somebody in India. We can converse. We can talk ideologies. We could do this. And then it's like, I hate you. You guys are stupid. Fuck you. My life's better. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. That I don't know. Is that like what do you think that is? Like, do you think that's just a part of me wants to say it's tribalism.
Yeah, I mean, there's tribalism in it too. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's just also, I think as humans, we're all, the idea of being a good human, being polite, friendly, and all that, it's constant. Like the pressure of that is constant. And I think some people find that the anonymous nature behind a computer or behind a game system, meaning you can be the person that you really want to be.
There's no repercussions.
Exactly. Except, now on the flip side, they combat that, people getting banned. It's so easy to find the person's IP address and track them, to where maybe it's going to be not as bad. Like I feel the worst for women in that aspect, because the amount of shit that I hear women have to go through on social media and all that stuff, it's rough.
Well, what needs to happen is when somebody does something shitty,
we need another plague. Is that what you're? Oh, okay.
No, Alexa needs to sprout some legs, walk over to you, and bop you on the head every time you do something shitty.
Yeah, there needs to be. Now, this is censorship, and I mean, this is actually teetering on fascism a little bit. But like the idea of like if you're about to type something hateful, like before you hit send, your computer goes, "Hey, knock it off." Do you really need to send this?
Do you really want to do this?
Like, are you really about to tell this person to eat your ass? Like, do you
broken
really need to say that?
One of the 50 human tenets.
Yeah. Like, we're all for freedom of speech, but don't be an asshole, okay? Like, just chill out.
Mm-hmm.
But if there was no assholes, there's no level to know what good is.
Is there? I mean, like, do you need evil to see good? Like, do you need to see what evil looks like to understand what good is?
Philosophers would argue that, yes.
I mean, I could kind of see the argument, maybe.
There's a lot of discussion that it's like, this is kind of going into different waters, but it is only through your actions that you can really see what it means to be good. And through your actions, meaning if I don't test your boundaries as an individual to see, I won't understand. It goes back to the learning of what it means to be good and bad. If I can't do something bad, I don't know what bad and good is. I don't know the scale.
Okay. I kind of see where you're coming from with that now. All right.
Yeah, when you put it that way, like you don't know what you should and shouldn't do. Oh, I'm sorry, you don't know what you should do unless you experience what you shouldn't do. Same thing with everything, like a relationship. You know, if you cheat on your partner and then you find out that feeling sucks, then okay, you had to do something bad to know that it's bad.
Right.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
But that's just that's a thought experiment theory. That's because you should know, I don't need to kill somebody to know I shouldn't kill people.
Right. There are certain things in the social contract that you should just know, like, hey, that's not cool. Maybe don't do that. But then there are other things.
Imagine the Neuralink already corrects if maybe there's a pathway, a Neuralink or a neuron pathways in our brain. There's a fundamental feeling that we have of good and evil, and the Neuralink, maybe there's pathways in there that maybe there's some people, they have broken good neural pathways, and the Neuralink can repair that, and boom, problem solved.
Well,
okay. Now you saying that now that kind of make me think that maybe that's computers now actually getting the edge on trying to control you.
Yeah.
At that point, it starts off small, and they make sure they don't do a thing that big, and then gradually it gets to the point where they're gonna start just controlling everything that you think, do, or say. Probably.
Right.
Look, I'm cool with Neuralink if it stops people from having private conversations on speakerphone in public. Like if you can if the Neuralink can do that, where it stops that little, it's like a little voice that comes in your head and say, hey, nobody wants to hear your conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe take it off speakerphone. We don't care about whatever you're talking about. No one wants to hear it. Knock it off. Like if the Neuralink can do that, or like people who, like when you're watching a movie and something triggers in their head to not say the punchline before the movie does it. Look, I'm not saying no, that's too rough of a joke.
Correct, like everything that Sage has in his brain. Can it just rewire that shit?
Oh, I cannot wait to hear this.
Yeah,
we're gonna kidnap Sage, and we're gonna have him go through an impromptu Neuralink transplant.
But could you
rewire that bitch?
Now look, we're saying this, but I'm gonna go out and say that. Could you imagine Sage being anyone else? Like, could you imagine him not being the person we know him as?
No.
Yeah, like, yeah, and I hope he's hearing this too, because I know he doesn't want people to know this. But Sage is definitely one of the nicest people on the planet.
I know, right?
He's such a nice dude, but he does not like it when people know that. It's like he goes out of his way to be an absolute asshole, but deep down, that's a good dude.
Yeah.
That's a good dude.
Yeah.
I hope he's listening.
Oh, way to get some brownie points after I just shit talked him.
Yeah.
He's like, I still got a game with this motherfucker. Why are you throwing me under the bus?
Oh man. But yeah, man, the idea of Neuralink, right. I like it, in a sense, because it's new. I'm interested to see what Elon and the team do with something like that. But I'm also, I can't help but be nervous, but I think that's with everything. Anytime it's something new, there's always that slight uneasy feeling about it.
I have the nerves, and I think it's good to challenge, the notion of what it all means. And I hope the people that are working on this stuff and in developing this have those same feelings of nervousness and caution when it comes to developing this, because it is a little bit of unexplored territory. We don't know where this could lead to, and we don't know what it means. I mean, I think there needs to be a committee that is formed that can help tackle some of these questions for when the time does come. We shouldn't have to wait till after AI is uncontrollable in order to have some sort of backup plan or committee that can handle where things could go.
Right. I wish we can get to that point where we're not waiting for things to go bad for us to figure out the problem.
Yeah, and that goes to because that's 100 years from now. I don't need to worry about that right now. But somebody needs to be worrying about these things.
Yeah, that's
Stephen Hawking warned us about AI. Elon Musk is warning us about AI. I mean, all these big thought thinkers are warning us about the potentials of what this could do.
Yeah.
So there needs to be a committee of people that are handling it.
See, this is why I don't need
say maybe they don't do it.
No. I was gonna say this is why, like, I've made the joke numerous times about, like, if I were president of the United States and if I just had like absolute power, like there was no such thing as, you know, a Congress or a Senate or anything like that, dude. The amount of I'd be like, bro, knock it off. We're not gonna wait 100 years for our grandchildren to figure out climate change. Do it now. Like, figure it out now and fix it so our grandchildren don't have to deal with that bullshit. Someday we'll get to a point where, you know, I'm not sure if it'll be my lifetime, my kids, you know, their kids or whatever, but it would be cool to kind of see what they do with the Neuralink, you know, if they really make some big steps with it.
Well, like you said, they already got it implanted into a chimp playing video games with its mind. I mean, that to me seems like we're only a few years out from seeing some crazy progression in human application. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's not just gonna say because it's a cool idea, but you know, our brains are my brain, I should say, is so limited to what it could do now. You know, like I'm just curious as to how much more they could push that forward for me. Like, I don't think I'm an absolute moron, but I'm definitely not the smartest person in this squadcast. So,
well, see, the thing though is that you would have basically all the internet in your brain with the Neuralink. It's like having your phone connected to your brain. So whether you're a moron or not, you're going to have that information right there. Now, how you navigate that, I don't know. But you can see, I mean, you could Google anything and find any information right now. And you have to parse that a little bit between biasness and stuff on certain things. And Wikipedia, you know, you still can't cite that on fucking school papers. God damn it.
Well, yeah, that I get, because I mean, that can be edited, right? Like, anybody can contribute to the site.
Have you tried doing that? I tried making a Wikipedia about myself, and it won't let me.
Oh no, I've never. But you can edit stuff though, right? Because I like someone edited something about. You can,
but it has to go through. It goes through a review of peers or like some group or something like that. So it's not just straight up. I can just put whatever I want on a wiki page. And then those have to then be referenced as well, where your edits come from, for the most part.
Up in the air right now.
Anyways, so the future is I don't know. We don't know
what
is. The future is. Yeah, it's coming. We know there is a future. We don't know for sure that tomorrow will be tomorrow, because anything can happen. But there's a good chance that there will be a tomorrow and there will be a day after that. And what's going to happen there when it comes to robotics and AI, I think we're going to know some things and see some major changes soon. 2044, technological singularity, according to GPT-3. The future is.
I mean, that's all we can do.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm just gonna, I guess, just hope for the best. You know, that's all you really can. Yeah, it's really, yeah.
Yeah.
And while Rick, you and I will be in line for Neuralink transplants, Big RC is
fuck that.
in line for the Sexbot 5000.
Shit, I'll be in both lines.
No, I don't know what gave you the idea, but I am not getting a damn Neuralink.
You're not getting a Neuralink? Okay, I'm gonna be the only one. Fuck yeah.
Absolutely not. My guy, I barely like taking Tylenol. I don't like taking anything that'll do anything to me. You think I'm gonna what the fuck? No.
Now, if you get metal teeth, no toothaches.
Now, if I get metal teeth, everybody's getting bit.
You just go around. Here comes the biter.
What was his
Chicago
name?
biter is at it again.
RC, what was his name from 007 Odd Job? Or Jaws? What's his name? Jaws? That doesn't sound right.
It doesn't sound right, but I think it was more along those lines. Man, fuck, I can't remember.
Yeah, but I would just go around biting motherfuckers. like, oh, hello, Mr. Wood. Fuck you.
See, now I am a little afraid for humanity, because you just played through that in your head. Like, if I get robotic anything, I'm just going to go around biting motherfuckers. What?
Dude. Speaking of robotics, do you remember when the dude had the bionic arm and he flipped the switch and it just kept pounding on the desk and it looked like he was That's the shit that scares me. Like, I could see some asshole with a bionic arm or like a robotic arm and going, "Oh, I want to see what is it a new person jerking?" You know, like what is gonna happen?
The
I
ultimate stranger.
The ultimate, yeah. You know, that's the first thing. I'd bet so much money that the first robot that was built, somebody jerked off with it. Somebody like, hey, jerk me off. Like, I guarantee it. some horny asshole is just like, you know what? The ultimate stranger. That's probably what they called it too.
The ultimate stranger.
Yeah.
E2.
So,
the first
by the way, that
broke his dick.
GoldenEye enemy wasn't in Jaws.
Oh my god! Yeah. I want to look up that clip right. as soon as we're. I
know.
Finish here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Wow!
Okay.
That doesn't seem right. Well, that about wraps this one up. Thanks everyone for tuning in to another episode of the Haven Exchange, showing up every Wednesday on your doorstep. That would be pretty cool if we could just package like VHS copies of the podcast room via drone, via robotics, or download this straight into your brain via your brand new Neuralink and listen to us there.
Sponsored by Patreon.
Speaking of Patreon, if you would like to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/Haven Exchange. And for as low as $1 a month, you can support the show and get access to a bunch of goodies like early access to episodes, merch discounts, voting options on what we are going to be talking about next. And you can also be a part of the Cool Kids Club, just like our amazing Patreon supporters, Tashamonetsims and Nerder She Wrote. Big thank you to both of y'all for your continued support on the show. We love you. And I am your host, once again, Genesis. You can find me on twitch.tv/Genesis_GH. Playing games, we're partying, we're having cocktails, we're hanging out with all of you wonderful people. Hit me up on the socials along them same lines at GenesisGHN on Twitter and Instagram. Check me out for when I go live on those platforms. Big RC.
But you can find me on twitch.tv/BigRC_GH. Also, you can catch me at BigRC56 at YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram.
Hell yeah. Moving on to Mr. Rick.
Well, you can catch me. You can primarily catch me on Twitch and Twitter. My Twitter handle is at Phantom_GHN. I usually, memes and political conversations and stuff like that. Occasionally some gaming stuff. But you can definitely follow me on Twitch at Phantom_GH, where I try to stream as often as I can, but due to personal life going on right now, it's not as easy as I'd like it to be to just get in front of the camera and play games. But, I got 100 things going on in the background, but I'm going to try to get some sort of schedule going on. Awesome. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll catch you next week. Much love. Let's go.
This is the Haven Exchange.